Let's talk about the problems that plague exporters in Photoshop. Names. What if you type clubs instead of clubs? Well, you've broken your exporter. What if you have multiple adjustment layers? Do you have to hide them in every single layer set? Well, that means you have to duplicate settings every single time you make a change. Well, that's not good. Well, what happens if you have export settings per texture that are different? What if one of them is 64 by 64 and the next one is 256 by 256? What if you have bicubic sharper for one of them or bicubic for another? You need to have persistent settings, and you don't want to remember them all. And that's a shortcoming of all these systems. So let's talk about the solutions now. I propose a metadata system that is unique to layer system. That sits alongside it, but doesn't depend on it. So here we go. I select all the layers that I want to see. I give it a new name, and here we go. I got all this markup associated with all these layers, but not dependent on them. Oh, what if I want to change the indexing? I just move those layers outside of their folder. Will it still work? Sure it will, because we're not tying the names or the index numbers to the markup. Well, what if I want to change the names after I've marked it up? Between exports, if I change names or layers, well, what happens? Well, normally you'd break your export, but in this case, since I'm not depending on this layer data, I can change the names all I want. No problem. Yeah, the settings persist. And what happens if I want to change the export settings that I talked about earlier? Well, since they're stored as XMP metadata, I can change them all I want. Okay, let's recap. We're untethering export settings from the layer manager. This gives the layer manager back to the artists to do whatever they want to do between iterations. You can change layer names between iterations, change layer positions and parenting. Because you aren't doing a layer folder per game image, you can share layers between export images and not duplicate data. You have persistent export settings per image, so you don't have to remember what the resolution is or the compression settings. And you have a master-child relationship between PSDs and in-game images tethered by GUIDs. So you don't have any external JSON or XML dependencies. All this data lives inside the respective image files. Nothing else to manage. We have full source control integration, so you can stay in Photoshop and not have to go to Perforce. It's all there right there in this UI. The export panel is fully dockable, collapsible, resizable, just like a native Photoshop UI. So you have a full feature system, and you can have your layer manager back. Thanks.